Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another Dark and Darker video where we'll be going into the normal dungeon with the starter gear and we're going to see how we get on. Alright, so in this run we got a pretty nice spawn. It is at the top left of this dungeon. And this spawn is really nice because we have a lot of barrels and crates in this room. So when you come in with no gear, spawning around barrels and crates is really useful. So we'll probably stay in this room for a little bit and try and get as much equipment as we can from these barrels. As you can see, you got a leather cap and leather gloves there. Very handy. And since we're not actually wearing any armour at the moment, it's pretty easy just to kite the AI back and forth. Pretty much just walk backwards and take them out slowly. Always a handy tactic for a fighter. Get a shield upgrade. Just pop open a few more crates and see if we can get a little bit more gear. That archer somehow managed to sneak an arrow over my shield and headshot me. Kind of insane. But hey, I'm used to it by this point. Happened a lot during the playtest. And as I've said before in pretty much all of my fighter videos, getting a ranged weapon early on is key to playing the fighter. So the faster you can find a archer skeleton, the quicker you're going to be able to scale up your gear, because you really need it for PvE, and it's also very handy for PvP encounters. So just pop the rest of these barrels open, get a few more things. We have a little trap door here we can peek in. Always looking at those little nooks and crannies because you can find little trinkets and bandages on them as well. Always handy. And you know, I found something out recently that I didn't actually realise during the playtest, and that is normal equipment, like common gear, it can actually have varying stats. It's not all the same. It has like a range that it can spawn with, so you know, like a Barbuta helm may have 21 armor rating, like a common Barbuta helm. But it can range from anywhere from like 19 to 23 or something like that. So if you're lucky, you might find a common one with 23. It's a pretty cool thing. So if you have common gear and you're still looking for upgrades, be sure to pick it up and check and see if it's better than the one you have on. I'd love to see Mimics getting an update for the next playtest, because as of right now they're pretty one-dimensional with their combat. You just have to hold S and keep attacking them. I'd love to see a little bit more aggressive AI in the normal dungeon. The only aggressive AI I've come up against is the Centaur in the Hell dungeon, which is incredibly difficult to play against. And I do like how aggressive it is. Easily dispose of these skeletons. Looking for a sword upgrade at this point. To find some nice turn shoes, which is excellent. Gives us a nice move speed buff. And pretty big room here. Just avoid it for the most part. Don't want to deal with the spiders, so we'll head up and towards the center a little bit more. I always like to shut doors behind me, but you know, sometimes I can screw you over. It's more of a personal preference, I think. Up to you to decide. Sometimes you might push into a room, shut the door behind you, and then a barbarian charges you, and then yeah, you're just I think you understand where that's going. Completely depends. Nice chest here. Praying for a better weapon. Just some pants. Alright, so far so good. This is kind of how I like my Zero to Hero runs, starting off with mostly a bit of PvE, bit of gear searching. That's pretty much how I would picture an ideal start. You don't really want to get involved in PvP right off the bat if you're coming in with starter gear. Because if someone's even got a few upgrades, you're pretty much at a massive disadvantage. The difference between a padded tunic and say a cuirass or anything else pretty much is pretty insane. Head a bit deeper in. And deal with these spiders because we have to. Ah, spiders are more of a nuisance in this game, I'm telling you. Drive me crazy. It's just to rush that bot as fast as you can, kite them around. Nice and easy. Always hoping we get pendants from these guys. Or rings. He does get a big hit on me there, which sucks, but what can you do? Some blue throwing knives. Better just being patient against these bats, waiting for them to charge, and then getting one hit. You wanna play it super safe. If you're greedy like me, you'll probably go for two most of the time, and sometimes take a hit. Okay, now we're heading pretty deep into the centre of the circle. Circle's getting a bit smaller, so kind of expecting to run into people around this point. Knowing the dungeon pretty well, I hold off on using second wind because I know there's a shrine of health nearby, so get to that, get full heal. Because having second wind for a PvP encounter is really, really good. You want to avoid using that if you can help it. Sometimes you have to use it early on if you have a pretty poor encounter with the AI. Or maybe you know, get in a fight with a wraith or something and you're struggling. It's not terrible to use your second wind if you have to. Here we have our first combatants. They decide not to push me when I pull out the crossbow. Strength of a ranged weapon, guys. Back off nice and slow. Seems we reached a bit of an understanding there. I'm just holding it to see if they push. Since we're doing 1vx, always want to take the fight on our own terms if we can. So not running into them is best case scenario. Don't hit a crossbow shot, unfortunately. And we start taking shots from a ranger, which I didn't see before. We'll back off a bit. Get this crossbow loaded up. Never a good idea to stand out in the open like that. I just did it because I didn't think they had a ranger. That was a mistake from me. Just waiting to see if they push me or not. Looks like they fell back into the dungeon. Opted to not push, which I'm a little bit surprised by. Maybe they think I've got some rogue friends that are sitting invisible or something. Ideally, we'd wait around here for the shrine of health to come back up. I don't know the exact timing on it, but it normally takes like a few minutes from my experience. So, you know, if you use a shrine of health, you can run away, get into a fight, you can come back and use it again most of the time. If any green armaments, very nice. Good upgrade. We get our portals coming through. However, we don't they have enough loot. Definitely not as much as I would like. So I want to stick around for a little longer. We do have some nice gear upgrades, and that's excellent, but looking to make a bit more gold on this run for sure. Don't like leaving unless I have a full inventory most of the time. Looping around, listening for information. Always good to hear and listen for steps, combat, pretty much anything around you. Say a little prayer for the Shrine of Health to come back up. Unfortunately, still out of luck. Taking a bit longer than I expected there. There we are. Yeah, about 2-3 minutes I think is probably the timing on it. If you're solo playing around Shrines of Protection, Shrines of Power, Shrines of Health, super useful. You really need these as a solo player, especially if you're lower geared. Always very handy. I do hear Wraith aggro in the next room, so pop an Invis potion. And I'm going to hold these portals and see if someone comes through. Funnily enough though, you're about to see that the Wraith claimed his victim before I could even get a shot off. Just took him down with the door. I creep up and I get pretty much all of the loot that I was looking for. This guy was pretty nicely geared. Nothing crazy, but some greens, a few upgrades. And I'm still not full, so I do go deeper into the room, see if I can snatch a few more things before the game ends. And I do see another dead body here. And he has a few nice trinkets on him. A couple of blues, a pendant. Go back and grab that pendant real quick. And the circle is closing. Unfortunately, I had opened a portal up before, and we just make it back in time to escape. No crazy PvP. It was a very nice loot run. And it just goes to show sometimes patience and holding that final circle can really pay off dividends. Alright, let's sell this stuff and see how much we made. The value from a run isn't just the trinkets you sell, it's also the gear that you scaled up to. Especially if you're going 0 to hero. As you can see, we're a lot more well equipped for our next run. Which is super important, and we made a nice chunk of money from this. Very nice indeed. Alright, well that's pretty much it guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.